Welcome to Actual Scale Modern. This is part 11 of the Revell USS United States Scale 1 to 96. So on this part I'm going to be dealing with the main rigging, so that's the rigging on the bowsprits and jibs, and starting on the square rigging for the masts as well. So let's jump into the build. Right, well, I'm jumping straight into where I left on part 9, so I'm just attaching more pulleys to the main boom here. As you can see on the cutting mat, I've already made up a few, so these little tail ends are just so that I can tie them onto the boom. Tie them on loosely at first so you know where you're putting them. Don't worry so much about the positioning. You can tighten them up and double knot them afterwards and add a little bit of cement just to secure the thread onto the boom. So the first part of rigging to be attached are the thicker parts here, and these are going from the hull to the bowsprit shrouds, well, under the shrouds I should say. So they're getting attached to the turnbuckles at the edge of the ship. Well, they're not turnbuckles, the little cleats. Secure one end first just by adding a little knot once you thread through the cord, and then pull it so it's the knot's bumping against the cleat, and then use your threader just to go inside the pulley and pull the cord through. There's about 3 or 4 of these thicker parts of the rigging to be done first of all. You want to make sure these are done first, because it'll be difficult to get them in place later on down the line. So on this side, once I've attached the cord to the pulley, I'm stretching it over to place the cleat in its recess hole. This is one of the reasons why I left them off, because it was easier to thread them beforehand. So as I said, there's 1 or 2 to do. Just be patient with it. As you can see, it's a very fine work that you have to do here, and you have to wait between each one as well for it to dry before you go on to the next one. Then once they're on, just secure it with a little bit of cement. I'm actually using super glue here because it adheres better to the rope and the bit of plastic, so I don't want to just stiffen up the cord here. I want it to make sure it's attached to the actual cleat, hence why I'm not using the normal cement. So it's onto the main running line of the rigging, and I would suggest that you follow the instructions on the kit here. You can follow your own plan if you wish, but if you follow the instructions, it gives, for the start at least anyway, it gives you a good order to place these lines in. However you decide to do it, just pick a starting point, then work your line around it. So I'm using my threader here just to put it inside the pulleys and pull the cord through. And then once each line is done, I will secure it to the pulley or cleat, whatever one it's calling for. Now you'll find that these pulleys and blocks are a bit tight underneath the jute rigging part that I did, but it's an unavoidable part of the build. You are going to have to be patient and work your way through it. Just go slow and methodically, and try not to pull it too tight at this point as well. You don't want to be get it all taut and then later down the line finding that you haven't got any room to manoeuvre it if it all sags out. I also find clamping some of the lines down with a bit of weight, like I've done here, to keep it taut as well while you're rigging it and pulling the cord through. This enables you to go to the next step, and I can't emphasize enough, you do not want to tie off your ends just yet. You want to make sure all the rigging for a particular section is on before you pull it all taut. This will come self-explanatory when you're running the line from the bowsprit up to the foremast, which I'm just about to do here. So this is the foremast, and I'm running the line up, already done one, and I'm just tying it off with using a little simple knot. It's good as well if you just put a little bit of cement in to stiffen up the line before you tie off as well. That way it's not going to slip down while you're securing it. I'm now connecting the line to the pulleys that I put on it, the three ones that I attached to one cleat that goes in just above the bow shroud. It did actually work out quite well, and I did save on cleats, but there is not enough little cleats for this model. I'm quite disappointed in that from Revell. I think they assumed that you weren't going to put all the cannons in and use all the cleats. But why have all the cannons there if you're not going to use them? So I'm very disappointed in that. Later on down the line it does cause problems, but I'll go into that later. So I'm not happy with it. I've pulled it this section taut, and I'm just cutting off the loose ends with a hobby knife. I'm connecting the inner jib stay rigging now. So this has gone from the jib where the boom is right up into the foremast. But when you're doing it, I'm actually doing it slightly wrong. I did change it. I put the rigging over the cross tree. It's actually meant to go underneath the cross tree and up. But I discovered that very quickly, and I just changed it. And then I pulled the rigging down and placed it into the pulley like all the rest. Now these ones I have to pull taut. I don't actually like doing it at this stage, but there's another part that has to be done, so these lines do have to be taut. And what it is there's a cross part of rigging that goes up these two rat lines. They go in a sort of diamond sort of shape, so I've secured one end and then ran it up the two parts of the rigging. There is one mast I forgot to put in my haste to start the rigging. It's not a problem because it's meant to go in at the end anyway, and I hadn't got to the rigging on the aft mast, so I'm just putting this in, and this was painted in Revell Aquacolor 382 wood brown, so it's a different colour from the main mast, and there's a little recess just at the bottom it sits into, and the leading edge bumps up against the main mast. The best way to approach this rigging is to do in sections. Pick a section, see what you need, do any prep work that needs to be done first, and this is what I'm doing here. I'm just prepared all the pulleys for this next section. So I'm just tying on some pieces of thread or cord and preparing them. Now with these long pulleys you want to make sure the cord is coming over the actual wheel of the part. That's because if you tie it just on like with a simple knot, it will look off balance. So you want the cord to run the way the actual rigging would run. Now each of those pulleys has to have a cleat added to it, so it can be fitted to the deck like this, and this is where I discovered I really do not have enough of those cleats. Later on I'm going to have to decide where I'm going to be attaching parts of the rigging to, because I won't have enough cleats to secure the rigging how it's meant to be done. So there's meant to be a little cleats within the deck and on the side of the ship for it to hold the rigging, but I don't have any more left apart from what I've got there. So I'm either going to have to scratch build something or come up with a creative way to secure them. Like the yard arms, the massive various blocks and pulleys that run up and down it to secure the rigging. Again, pre-make them up before it's time to put them on. Leave enough room on your line so you can tie it off. On the big mast it's not a problem because you have those little ridges that you can lay the cord around before securing it, but higher up you don't actually have any of those ridges, so you may want to secure it with a little bit of glue, a little bit of cement, just to hold it in place before you tie it off. Now with all these blocks and pulleys, make sure they're completely dry and secure before you start putting the rigging through them. They will go under quite a lot of tension, so you want to make sure they're not going to pop off as you pull the cord through. Each time I'm pulling the cord through, I'm using my threader just to pull it through, and then I'm adding a little bit of cement on the cogwheel of the pulley to secure the thread before moving on to the next pulley or block. Again, have an anchor point to start with. I'm using the bottom pulleys here. I'm also taking the opportunity now to secure the shrouds. Now, again, the instructions are asking for these to be held in with a clip, which I don't have. So I'm securing these to the rails that go around the mast. These are there solely for holding rigging anyway. Ideally, these should be going towards the edge of the deck, but because of the lack of the cleats, I can't do it, and I didn't want to have them just tying to the side of the hull of the ship and interfering with the gangways. I'm connecting the main mast to the foremast now, and it's the same process with all the other parts of the rigging. Just pull it through the cross tree and securing it to the main mast. I'll fast forward this part. It's the same process as before. So as you're going along with this, pulling each cord into the next level, make sure the tension's alright but not too taut. It'll all be getting pulled taut near the end of each section, and it's always wise to secure it with a little bit of cement as well before you go into the next one. So moving on to rigging the top part of the mast. This is just a single line going from the top to the middle of the foremast. You have to be careful with your tension here as well, and when you're pulling it, don't pull it too much or you'll end up bending the mast too much, but they will bend. Don't feel worried that they're bending, because they will bend. Just do one line at a time, and once one line's done, secure it to your anchor points to make sure that it's not going to impede on your other lines as you're going along. You don't want to get mixed up and send one line one way and you realise it should have went the other. Also, it's at this point as well that where you realise that the pulleys really have to be secure and dried before you start this part, because you are putting them under quite a lot of tension when you're pulling these lines through. So you want to make sure each piece, you're happy with each piece before you go into your next section. Have you got any bits that need to be tidied up? Now's the time to do it before you move on. Cutting off any stray bits of cord, making sure they're all secured with a little bit of cement, like you can see me doing here, just methodically working your way through. I'm going to bring this part to an end now. I'm just finishing up this section of the rigging, so before I start another section, it's quite a good place to stop. In part 12 I'll be going back to the bow and finishing off the cross section of the rigging there. That's the part of the rigging that goes onto the forward jib boom, and all the stays and guides will go in. If you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the other videos for this build. There's quite a few to look at now, or indeed check out the entire channel. There may be something in there that will pique your interest. Subscribe to the channel for any updates, particularly for this build, or indeed any upcoming builds that I may be doing in the future. Hit that like button and leave any comments. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.